then look how the beauty can be enhanced by adjusting the major misalignment.
Okay. Well, that's, yes. Look for the beautiful and good in the students first. Isn't just beautiful? Okay. Connie?
Teach to what you are observing. After giving an instruction, pause and observe that it was carried out. Make instructions based on observation. Do not teach on autopilot. Pausing after a central instruction gives you time to see how the students are responding. If your instructions were not carried out, repeat or rephrase it. Move around the class sufficiently to see all the students and to check their alignment from various angles. Move from home-based position up and down the aisles, looking quickly at a group of students. Be organized when walking around the group so you don't miss anyone. If students are lying down, walk softly so as not to make a loud noise or vibrate the floor.
Do you understand? Move from the home base position up and down the aisles, looking quickly at group of students. Does it make any sense to you? So there are two aisles, right? So you move like a snake, right? Or this way. So you observe everybody, okay? Any questions over this paragraph? Okay, next, Zoe.
Regularly check the students with injuries and handicaps or special needs and conditions such as pregnancy, menstrual period, unbalanced blood pressure, immune system disorders, and so on.
Keep going.
Observe attitude, alignment, and action in each pose in both a separate and holistic fashion. In general, observe attitude first, and then the alignment of the outer form, and finally the energetic action.
Do you understand the attitude and alignment and action? Right? Attitude, what does it include? What does attitude include?
A lot of things. It includes, especially you're bringing your arms up, and whether you're actively bringing your arms up, or you're just kind of
okay, that, okay. Whatever.
Or if they're not even participating, and they're just sitting back and
okay.
doing the watching their own thing.
Okay, what else? Face, expression of the face, and what else? That would be alignment. Yes, that's like what Barbara said. Yeah, she mentioned about it. Yeah, there's just would be this attitude. I don't care what you say, right? And you will have the students. Would you react to them? I had just recently a student who I obviously I'm not about hyperextending the knees, and she was hyperextending her knees on purpose. I mean, I could tell. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, she was just hyperextending everywhere just to make her point. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to spend all my time on overcorrecting you. I just moved on. Guess, did she come back to my class? Can you get, no, right? Of course, yes. So there's that attitude, like something they don't like about you, right? And they will, no, I don't like this instruction. I'm going to do the same. Right. So the energetic attitude also, right? That's what include, yeah, the facial expression, the eyes, the just the overall kind of outer, how they what is this about, right? Mm-hmm.
Whenever she was over, like after sitting her leg, you think she was trying to feel like she was in proper alignment versus having security and good base? Like in her mind, she was trying to feel that she was gonna have proper alignment versus trying to have a good foundation and be good in the.
That's what it is. So when I started practicing yoga, so my yoga journey didn't start with practice physical hatha. It started with meditation. So anyway, so fast forward, in United States now, and and in we lived in Arkansas, and I went to Iyengar style teacher. You complain about how many cues I gave you guys. Iyengar, they use a lot of props, a zillion of cueing, of the this do this and this principles of alignment, basically, right? Um, so anyway, and I thought I'm so good because I'm just so flexible and I just can't just hang in there, right? And oh my God, he was all over me. He was just like, you, no, 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 no. And they can be pretty harsh. The Iyengar style teachers, they're like, oh, they're old school usually, right? They say, no, 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 no. So I'm not like that. um, sort of, right? But I mean, he was berating me right there. Don't hyperextend your joints, young lady. He would, I mean, he would just be, and then he would use, props, and then I was like, oh my God, ah, I never felt my body like engaging so much, so I was shaking. Um, so with maybe they don't know. See, I didn't. I thought that was yoga, stretching, right? I'm stretching, right? And then he said it's not about just stretching; it's about breath engagement and the mindfulness, right? So maybe that. But that lady knew. She goes to other yoga classes. She's better. She knows. It was something about she doesn't like about me, right? Yeah. So, but I moved on. Just that's okay. So whatever it was, I'm not interested to know. Right? So, okay. Next, Cassandra.
Observing an individual student, making observations in the following sequence. 1. Observe the student's attitude, safety, which is in front of the enemy, quality of the breath, with nose or mouth breathing, speed of breathing, skin color.
Hmm. Isn't it interesting, right? Skin color. Red can be too much, like red face, right? Red. What?
Flushing.
Yeah, yeah. So it can say something about their health also, right? Or pale, kind of yellowish, scaly. Also says something about that too, right? Uh, maybe they hold in the breath. And I don't know, whatever it is, but it's or sweat. So.
Facial expression, quality of the eyes,
Mhm.
general posture.
So it's interesting, right? So all of those things, the way people look, the eyes too, I can tell you a lot about their attitude, and it equals to safety, right? So, any questions on that? I'm not asking you to go around and look at each student's like, you know.
And that skin butter, like I've heard, like when I was younger, even like, or even now, like, oh yeah, like when you hear somebody say, yeah, you got your color back, or you already did this, or you did that, and that's pretty much like saying they were deficient in something, or
Yes,
they're going through something, and
yes,
the older the people, they can see that in, I guess,
yeah.
in younger people, or however they have,
Mm-hmm,
and that, and they notice that.
mm-hmm.
And not
Yeah.
only teaching younger, but they can see whenever you're cutting at your
Deficient, yeah. It's actually or over, right? Something is too much. The nutrition part, we covered that, right? You can tell who is doing what diet they use. Basically, um, I have to say the most beautiful skin I've ever seen and actually touched. It's my current teacher, and she's of course no like zero sugar, you guys, zero sugar, and her skin is luminous, like it's just, and it's beautiful. It's no wrinkles, and it's just amazing how sugar can make. It's crazy.
What's the
Yeah,
skin regimen? What is she? Does she exfoliate a lot?
zero. She's just not eating sugar. Hmm. And the quality of her tissue when you touch her is not. It's it's yeah. It's just you touch, and just she can just sit there, and you just, oh my God. But it comes with time, right? So all of those things when they can tell you about the nutrition. Now, by the way, if they're like frail, right, the skin is like, pale, would you put them in a really deep back band? No, of course not, right? You would modify. So we're going to talk about modifications and using props for the back bands today. So, okay. Um, Cindy, next, 2 and 3.
Check if the foundation's
Symmetry. Mm-hmm. Peripheral parts to the peripheral parts. So from the so basically, if it's let's say it's a triangle pose, right? So you move from the feet up to what's the in triangle pose would be focal point. If you work on the hips, it would be in the hips, right? If it's a little bit of the, even in triangle pose can be a little bit back bendy, but let's just focus on the hips, right? So you move from the feet all the way up to the core of the pelvis, and then from there you move down again to those are peripheral, right? And then into the out through the hands and the fingers. So that's how quickly, but it comes with the practice. It takes time to learn. Okay, so it's like a little snapshot you take, right? And but did you notice that the safety, stability, and shape right there? See how it goes with attitude, foundation, and outer form. You've seen safety, stability, and shape before. Okay, so right now it's just broken down more into what does it mean exactly when you look at it. Okay, 4 and 5, Charlotte. Oh, so can you pause right there? Sorry. Muscular energy. So you look for engagement, right? Are the muscles engaged or they're just flabby? They're jiggly jello kind of. So that is very important because that is also safety. I would put the safety there too, right? Okay, please. Okay, so pause. So the loops you just right now you introduced a new word, loops. What? Oh, wait a second. So I decided to put loops there. Before I took them out, and in Anusar it's a big thing, the loops. And I think because what I get about the UPAs, your feedback from you, your questions, I think we need to do that. And what we're gonna do is that I will be meeting 1 or 3 with you individually, and we'll go over with the over through the loops. I will introduce you to today what the loops are, and then we're gonna do practical implementation uh, when we meet with each other. Does it make sense? Like you met with Leah, so outside of the sessions, because it's just not enough time. Okay, so but the loops, I'm pretty sure will clear anything and everything about UPAs. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So I didn't put them, I didn't throw the loops. I thought about putting, yeah, they need. Okay. Um, so we just finished the circle, right? We started with the expressions in the facial, the outer form, and the attitude, and then the foundation, the and then we the shape, outer shape, and then we come back to again, right? So it's always the conclusion. And
So, question.
mm-hmm,
How long
mm-hmm.
take to be able to figure out how to do this in a moment,
Yeah,
basically, because you're walking around the
yeah,
room, you've got a class of 15 students.
absolutely,
This is a small group,
absolutely,
and it's tough for us to do right now.
absolutely. That's
I
a
mean,
really,
it's real hard for me to
hmm
notice that Charlotte didn't have a block
yeah,
when we were doing triangle.
yeah,
Because I was worried about Jacob falling the wrong way and not putting his hips out, or squaring up his hips. So it's very difficult.
yeah.
And then, oh wait, I'm supposed to be looking at their face.
Everything and everything.
Oh
And
wait, and the muscles. And oh wait, damn, I missed Cassandra. Completely. Over here,
oh my
focused on.
God. Yeah, yeah.
So
Good morning.
yes. And so how
I know, I
long
know,
did it take you,
I
for
know.
example, to really kind of put it all together and be able to look over a whole class and simulate it all?
In 1 second, a snapshot. Yeah, snapshot. Very good question. Thank you. And I hear a little panic, right? No, you want me to do this? I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail. That's it. So you will fail. How about this? How about this? You will lose the balance. You will make mistakes. It's fine. It's normal. It's natural. I'm not expecting you to be superhuman, like, all right, yeah, right? No, it takes time. It took me years. So what I was doing, I would pick one thing, foundation, for example, and I would look for the foundation. It will depend on the peak pose, right? If, for example, if I work on back bends, it would be okay. So to me, in the back bends, let's say I'm a beginner teacher, right? And now to me, I'm teaching back bends, let's say the class. I would choose stability engagement over expansion. Uh, does it make sense? Because that's safety. So to me, would be what I will work on how to engage the glutes. I will work a lot. I will spend a lot of time and observing the glutes, the back of the legs, right? How the feet properly, put. Are they splaying with the knees or all of that? I'm not gonna look here if I'm as a beginner teacher. Does it make sense? Because it is overwhelming. It's like, oh my God, right? And then you slowly add to that. Okay, now you can look at the foundation quickly. Bam, right? You can tell who is engaged in the glutes and who is not. Trust me, you will know, right? And then you add the next step, which is what? The shape, right? Out of form. And then so or yes, or I would move back to attitude. Actually, it is number one, but usual attitude is like when you talk to students, when you say hello and you observe, quickly observe, okay, they kind of this today, so maybe backbends will be a little bit less. Maybe it would be just cobra. The cobra is backbend, right? So we're just gonna do cobra. I'm not gonna move them into bridge pose or forget about wheel, right? So we will focus on that. So you just by quickly observing the attitudes of the class overall, right? And there's always will be Jacob who's like, I'm ready to go. Put me in the wheel. Like, no, 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 no. Right? Yeah. So
I want to thank you for that because I've gone to several classes and I've done a wheel before, but I've never been taught like that. Like every single from coming up onto our feet and pushing. It was always
just pushing up.
getting to bridge pose, from bridge, putting your hands behind and touching yourself up.
Zero well, basically minimum instructions.
I was getting up, but I wasn't getting. I mean,
Yeah,
when
but you
I
know,
get there and how they're engagement coming forward,
yeah.
come back, like I wasn't doing that, and I wasn't ever getting as high as I got yesterday. I felt more of the bend in my back and everything, even coming out of it. I was like, man, I've never felt that before.
Yeah.
It felt good, but
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. Yes, because you felt safe. You let your body to engage in such a way that it just the whole all you felt. Now, if I just told you, continue to tell you, just lift up in wheel pose, just lift up in wheel pose. You know what? You're young now, but down the road, if you continue to do this, you're gonna come down with the injury.
I would always feel it in my upper body
Yeah,
versus on the bed of my back. I feel it more like
exactly,
that all the way
exactly.
down. And then
Ex
they would say like for us to reach back, like to extend our body back a little bit with like pushing our feet down on their
hmm
feet and pushing our body back to extend to open up like that was it's difficult more than coming up just like that,
Yeah.
to where you get that full
Yes,
lift right
yeah.
there.
So it takes time to engage and then to do the pose, but it's safer. So, how about this? Short-term benefit versus long-term benefit. So, again, that's what it's all about. Okay. So, to continue to answer your question, Barbara. So, see, I choose stability first, right? And then I moved back to it is safety attitude, yes, and it's almost like it's dynamic. You move back and forth over those two, or you choose one and then work on it, sharpen it, 1 month, 2 months. I don't know how long it takes you. You will see it, and then move to the next one and do both back and forth, right? And then the once you're good at it, the third one. It's actually it's just practice. It's not that hard.
Well, and then they kind of start to merge
Yes,
together,
exactly.
right? So then
Exactly.
it becomes more holistic,
Exactly. Exactly.
compartmentalized.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So, but for simplicity's sake, when you learn something, divide and conquer, basically, right? Do you see this three, how do you call this? Asterisks? Beginning teachers might simply focus. Here we go. Barbara is answering your question. You should just read the bottom. Okay, so what does it say, Barbara?
It says beginning teachers might simply focus on the poses, foundation, and general
There you go.
But that didn't answer my question of how long it takes for you to
Oh,
get
it
cockeyed again.
individual. I don't know. For me, it took time. For you, maybe I don't have a magic answer how many months or years, or days. I don't know. It depends. It really depends how many times you teach, how often do you teach, or it just depends.
So first off, you really just need to focus
Yeah,
on safety
exactly,
and
exactly. In the
make
shape.
sure that they have the foundation down so they're at least
Yes,
not hurting themselves.
exactly, exactly. Yes, yes. Okay, next, uh, adjustments and improvements. Here we go.
Yes. Training and maintaining the adjustments of the student alignment is to help them express
Whoa, 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 Jacob! Slow down over there. Yee. Okay, start all over. Take your breath. Good grief. Okay. Oh, you were. He's kidding. I know. I see. Oh my God. Okay, start all over. Okay, guys.
is to help them express the spirit and heart more fully through their posture. A posture is never inherently bad or wrong. You do not need to try to fix or correct anything. First, always find something good in the pose and in the student. Your postural alignments are essentially just improvements.
Okay, pause right there. Do you understand? You're not trying to fix them. You're trying to what? Enhance. Enhance. It's totally different.
The philosophy needs to be conveyed to the students before adjusting them. You are doing very well. This is fine. And now bend your right knee a little more. In contrast, it can be demeaning and destructive to say, this is terrible, Jack. Did you hear me say to do the pose like that? Bend your right knee.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I just can you imagine? Did I say that? Were you? This is terrible. Wow. Okay. Oh wow. Funny though. But there's some, especially old school teachers who don't care about your feelings. They would say, like that Iyengar teacher, he told me, that's terrible. What are you doing? Right? I'm like, uh He's like, yeah. I mean, but he looked at me. I'm not little child. I'm adult. I can take it, right? So I'm not a wimp. So, and guess what? I still remember. The message was clear, right? Okay, so Barbara.
Make some sort of contact with each student sometime during the class. Make eye contact, gesture, touch, or speak to every student so they know you are aware of them and that you are checking their posture. Again, the main message that you want to communicate to each student is that they are great, they are doing fine, and you are there to support them. Even the most advanced or experienced student can be assisted sometimes in the course of the class. In this way, every student will feel like some personal contact has been made and that their spirits have been bolstered.
Okay, pause. Have you been in class where the teacher, you know, correct or adjust someone and you feel like, how about me, right? I don't feel that way either, but there's some people would be like, "Ugh, I like when you they just like this, pouting." And okay. But yeah, the kids do, but there's some sort of personal.
Yesterday when you were doing the adjustments because I knew what was coming and I needed that stretch.
Yeah,
So I guess I can understand how somebody can say, well,
and especially
I'm
if the
expecting that and I wanted that, but when I got there, I didn't get that.
and especially yes, and especially if they used to a lot of hands-on, right? And the teacher constantly they do it on them, and then they all of a sudden one day they not getting it. That, oh well. But I think you can also touch your students by the how you speak, your message you're trying to convey, right? I've been so the one of my and he's with Daisy now, John Friend. It was a in Colorado gathering, and we had 5,000 students. 5,000 students. That's how much he would get. I mean, he was big, okay? And guess what? I felt like he was talking to me. I felt he never touched me. Obviously, he was on stage because he had obviously helpers, a lot of helpers. But I felt like he was talking directly to me, and that is how impactful it was his message, right? And I could hear like everybody else, like, oh my God, I felt like he was talking to me. So don't just teach, just right. Choose your words carefully. Words matter. Don't just blubber, blah, 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 right? That's why feelers are so not just so, they are feelers. The filler words, like John Friend. Hmm. Anusara Yoga. He was Anusara Yoga. Yeah. Now he's Daisy in Bowspring. But um, the impactful knowledge, I mean, he was cultivating it, right? He was. the message was going through right to the heart and through the heart. I mean, and it's to me that is the contact, that is adjustment, right? Can be
You don't have to be touched.
exactly.
Or he's the one that was in the article at the very beginning whenever he was teaching under somebody else and then he went his own way. Right? It's an article.
He had a scandal. Yes, he's no longer. Speaking of scandals, yeah, gurus. He got just too big, too prominent. He Anusara Yoga was very, very popular. I mean, it still is. It is a good, as you know, UPA's work, right? And the both print that I teach is actually grounded in Anusara. It's just evolution of that. Does it make sense? So it is very, very impactful teaching. Moreover, he brought into this the themes, the heart themes, that is not only physical, it has to be something that touches their hearts and minds. So it's overall transformation is spiritual, right? Um, so he was very, very prominent, but as many people, when they get too powerful, what happens to them? They corrupt, right? So he got some things going on. I mean, he was Ainsar Yoga was $1 billion yoga kind of, right? Yeah. So he got careless, right? He was misusing money. He was doing drugs. Women all over the place. They were just throwing themselves into him. Well, yeah, and he didn't say no, right? And some of them were married, and so anyway, and so at the end, he got corrupt. Yeah, the people put him on the pedestal and started like worshiping him, and that's what happened.
Well, if you're in a class of 5,000 people and you feel like he's speaking directly towards you, then the likelihood that you're going to follow into a groupie type of thing
Yeah,
and start to worship is quite likely. And so the person who has that capability has to really take themselves out of the equation
yeah, yeah,
beyond that because
yeah.
it's a huge responsibility.
It is responsibility. Exactly. The higher your step on that, you exactly. So that's why don't take so lightly the teacher training or working with the bodies, because even if one student shows up, that's already it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot, right? So, and can you imagine the thousands and thousands and thousands? I mean, oh, and it's just I think if something is off in that person, and we all have that little, it's just corrupt. It's just we can't carry the weight of being only few people, Buddha, Jesus Christ, and those who really are their energetic bodies were suitable. They were just they were able to carry, right, that weight of responsibility. All of us, exactly, exactly, exactly. So he got thrown off because somebody started speaking because there was money involved, and so somebody said, you know what, they brought up into the light and said this is what he's doing. And one prominent teacher, Anusara teacher, leaves the Anusara yoga, another, and just like slew, like it was like a mass exodus. And I was actually coming to Corpus Christi in 2012, and I got my certification. I just got my certificate. You know how this is hard to get certification on Anusara yoga? Yeah. and then they fall apart. I'm like,
Going on. Yeah.
I mean, what? So, but I maintain my, I didn't leave. I still actually have certification. But then in 2013, I was introduced to Bowspring. So, and, but anyway, so, but guess what? When I went to Austin to do Bowspring with Daisy Springer, who I saw that? John Friend. I'm like, what? And he's like slim and because he was kind of, he was drinking, he was using drugs. I mean, he was just, he didn't even practice when he was corrupt already, like at the end when they were through. And then all of a sudden, I didn't even recognize him, but I was like, what is John Friend? So basically, Desi, what she said to him, she sent the poses and of the Bowspring to him years before when he was really prominent. And he just like kind of look at it like later. And now guess what? Now he has all this time because he's not anymore a guru, right? And they threw him off the. I'm sorry, they actually kicked him out. Yeah, and he has all this time, and at the bottom of the, he hit the rock bottom, and he's like, he looks at it, it's like interesting, and he contacted Daisy. She was in Denver back then, and she said, you know what, you're welcome to come uh, uh, here and stay here, actually live here, here in the studio. And she had beautiful, gorgeous, big studio with her sister. And but guess what? Uh, I'm giving you a hand to stand up off your knees because you're right now on your knees, right? But you have to practice and you have to watch what you do, eat, what you eating and drinking, and you will have to practice what I'm teaching. And he said yes, and he started doing it, and that's how they started. He's good at systematizing, so he systematized the Bowspring right now. It's accessible to everyone. Like there's level one, level. Before it was just like the roots. You've been on roots, but multiplied it by 10 times crazy stuff. And she I know, but she would like teach it to you guys that the roots, which is like level 16 to compared to level 1 yoga. I'm sorry?
He analyzes it.
Yeah, he systematized it. He took it what she's just like, whoa, all of this poses, crazy poses. He's like, what are you doing? You teaching beginners, students this? Are you crazy? So he's like, we need to systematize it, simplify it. So he made it, yeah, yeah, and he's really good at it, as you know. Okay, so that's basically what it is. But guess what? When he was, because the scooping tailbone, the arm bones back, and tucking, he had hard time. But he developed hip pain, and he was facing the hip replacement and doing Bowspring, gone, not anymore, no pain. And he had hard time because if you have hard time untucking your butt, that guy was like permanently. I mean, he couldn't. I mean, even it was like cemented. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh. So can you imagine how if it's hard on you, how it's hard on him?
Yeah, because he was already stuck in that.
Exactly, and he was teaching it. He's like, what? So it's yeah, breaking the old paradigm and opening yourself to new paradigm, which is. But now, of course, he's very inspired. Anyway, um, what was the question again? I was like carried on, but yeah, jump in. Where are we at? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But it's years and years of practice. And he had a really good guru. Her name Guru Mai. She's no longer alive, but she's from India, and when he was at her ashram and teaching, she would say, "What are you doing, John? You're good at, mm, instructing the pose, but you're not getting through to their hearts. I don't see the transformation that what I want you to have in the first place." And it's not about physical, really. It is physical, but so yeah, so he really, really work on, and he's really good at it. Have you watched his classes? You should. I mean, he is really good speaker. Whew. Huh? John Friend. Oh, he's Guru Mai. Guru Mai, yes. Well, she was spiritual teacher. Yeah, his roots actually starts with Iyengar yoga. So he took Iyengar. There's Ashtanga and Iyengar, and the two like, and then he was in Iyengar. Also did a little bit of Ashtanga, but stuck with Iyengar. And then he started, he thought that it was way too many cues, way too many alignments. How can we simplify it? 5 principles of alignment. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes, he created his baby. Yes, and he was working at physical therapy, and he also, observed how they work with the bodies and applied to it. And but Gurumai, that what theme, heart themes. That's from her. Mhm. Okay, so we should go move to that. Let's take a little break. Yeah, let's take a little break.